Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 3 of the Let's Play. On the morning of day 14, it was raining. So I decided that I was going to donate anything that I had to the community center and museum. I did also end up grabbing geodes so I could have Clint crack them. I did also remember checking the TV for the Queen of Sauce and I learned how to make coleslaw. Before I headed to Clint in the museum, I did end up going to check the traveling merchant. And of course, the traveling merchant didn't have anything I needed. Then I headed to the community center to donate the catfish. The cauliflower and the green bean, which I ended up getting 20 speed grow for. And I ended up unlocking the boiler room. I did also donate the red mushroom, winter fruit, and crystal fruit. And then in the boiler room, a solar essence bat wings. An iron bar, a copper bar. I did get a small magnet ring, and then I donated a quartz, earth crystal, and frozen tear, which made me unlock the bulletin board. I did donate a frozen geode. And then headed to the museum and donated a frozen tear and a ruby. And I got 1 star fruit from that. In Clint's, I had him open 3 geodes, which gave me no new things to donate. And then I had him upgrade to a copper app. Then I waited outside of Haley's because it was her birthday. I gave her a silver quality daffodil. And then on my way into the Cindersap Forest, I ran into Vincent and Jazz. They were looking at the sewer because they wanted to explore it. And Jazz thinks Gunther has the key. They end up hearing a scary noise and then run to me. So I go ahead and check it out. And I get spooked as well. While I'm down here, I grab Robin's lost axe and any forageables I run into. I head back to the farm so I can organize my inventory and sell anything I don't need. And then I headed up towards the mountains to fish for the rest of the night. I ended up running out of energy and the time was low, so I headed back to the farm. I did end up selling off all the fish I caught. Then I smelted some more copper. Then called it a night. I did end up leveling up in fishing and ended up making 1,919 gold. On the morning of day 15, I watered my crops. I did decide I was going to mine today. So I headed to the mountains, and on my way I collected any forageables. I did end up making it to level 60, getting me the crystal dagger. I was a little low on energy, but I ended up deciding that I was just gonna head back down. I did end up making it to level 65. And headed back to the farm. I organized my inventory. And then called it a night. I did end up leveling up in combat. On the morning of day 16, my coop was ready. I did end up receiving a few things in the mail that weren't very important. I did smelt more iron and water my crops. And I decided I was gonna mine for the day. I did end up making it to level 70, and I got a master slingshot. I tried to keep going and I ended up exhausting myself. So it was a long walk back to the farm. I did end up smelting more iron. And then I called it a night. I did end up leveling up in mining. On the morning of day 17, my spring seeds were done. So I harvested those. I did end up saving any of the gold quality ones as well. And then I also ended up planting all of the carrot seeds I had down and watered all of those. I did decide that I was going to donate things today to the museum. I did also end up deciding I was going to donate things to the community center. But before I did that, I did decide that I was going to buy 2 little chickens. I ended up getting a brown one and I named it Fuzzy. And then got a white one and named it Fluffy. I did end up heading back to the farm so I could open up the coop door and give them some hay. On my way to the community center, I did end up picking up a quest for Sebastian. On my way to the museum, I did end up picking up a quest for Sebastian. I did donate a few things. And then headed to Clint's because my copper axe was ready. Had him open some geodes and upgrade my copper pickaxe. Donated some more things. Headed to the community center. Donated my 5 gold parsnips. The ghost fish. And the red mushroom. And the gold bar to complete that bundle. Which I got another furnace from. And unlocked the vault. I did end up smelting more iron. And then ended up clearing some more space. I did end up grabbing the refined quartz and Robin's Lost axe and ended up giving the axe to Robin. and the quartz to Sebastian. I did end up heading back to the farm to clear more space. I did end up running into the shrine in the back corner of the farm. And turns out it was Grandpa's shrine. I smelted more iron and ended up calling it a night. I ended up leveling up and foraging. On the morning of day 18, my cauliflower were ready to be harvested. I did end up saving one cauliflower for now. And then I smelted some more iron. And then watered my crops. I did decide to go fishing, but before I could, I went and checked on my chickens. After that, I ended up heading to the mountains. I did end up fishing for most of the day. But then I remembered that it is Pam's birthday, so then I headed down to the saloon to buy her a beer. And I headed back to the farm and sold off all the fish I caught. I organized my inventory, smelted some more ore, and then I did decide to organize my chests a little bit because they were getting a little full. And then I decided to call it a night. I ended up leveling up in fishing. And I did end up making 4,388 gold. On the morning of day 19, I watered my crops. My copper pickaxe was ready today, so we were going to be picking that up from Clint. I did receive a letter in the mail from Jody asking for a cauliflower. I finished watering my crops, and then I decided to grab any geodes or anything I could donate to the museum. I did end up going to check on the chickens. The traveling merchant was in today, so I went ahead to the Cinderstaff Forest to check if she had anything I needed. And she did not. Then I headed to Clint's to get my pickaxe and open up this one geode. Then I ended up deciding to mine for the rest of the day. I did end up making it to floor 80 and getting a new pair of boots. And I did just realize that I threw out that bone sword, and it's better than what I have currently. But it's okay, because I ended up getting one from a box that was better than the forest sword. Then I ended up making it down to level 90, but my inventory was full, so I didn't get the chest. I ended up calling it a night. But before I could make it back to the farm, I ended up passing out. I ended up leveling up in combat and mining level 5, where I chose the miner perk. On the morning of day 20, I cleared all my inventory from the previous day. I did also check the community center bundles to see what I needed for the last boiler room bundle. I ended up harvesting my carrots. Shipping those off. I did get billed for passing out yesterday. And then I just watered my remaining crops. I did end up grabbing a few more things that I needed to donate to the community center. And then I did end up remembering that I had Jody's quest, so I went back and grabbed the cauliflower. I then headed to the community center to donate the purple mushroom for the field research bundle, and then I went into the boiler room and donated the fire quartz. I ended up getting 5 geodes from that and completing the boiler room. I then went to the craftsman room and donated the wood, the hardwood, and the stone, finishing the construction bundle. And then I ended up donating the purple mushroom as well. Then I headed to Jody's to give her the cauliflower that she requested. And I did head to Clint's to crack open these geodes that I just got. And I got one new mineral from it. I then headed back to the farm. Organized my inventory a little bit more. I smelted some more copper. And iron. Did end up remembering that it was Shane's birthday, so I did end up buying him a beer. And to my luck, he was right outside the saloon, so I gave it to him. Then I headed back to the farm. Smelted some more iron. And then I decided to clean up the farm a little bit more. I did end up getting 2 eggs from the chickens today. I ended up making a tree farm for oak resin in the future. so we can make kegs. After that, I organized my chest a little bit more, and then I ended up calling it a night. The mine carts did get repaired overnight by the Junimos. I made it to level 3 farming. And I made 1,058 gold. On the morning of day 20, I ended up checking the mailbox and learned how to cook pepper poppers from Shane. And then I went and checked the Queen of Sauce and learned how to make radish salad. I then harvested the strawberries, sold those off, and then checked my chickens. I did end up making 2 mayo machines and put those eggs in there. The traveling merchant was in today, so I went and checked to see if she had anything I needed. Once I got there and checked, she didn't have anything. I did end up running through town, and I checked all the trash cans. And the bulletin board, and accepted a quest for Willie. I then checked the beach for any forageables. I then ended up going to the saloon to check to see if Gus had any fish buffing food. I then headed to the mines. I did get a new sword, the obsidian edge, and then headed down the mines. I did end up getting the iron for the quest I had for Clint, so then I made my way to the blacksmith with the new mine carts and waited for Clint to come outside. He did give me a prize token for completing this quest, and I did get a peach sapling from it. And I ended up heading back to the farm. I did organize my inventory, cleared out more area, and called it a night. I did end up unlocking the mystery boxes, so now I will find them randomly around the farm. And I ended up making 1,706 gold. Thank you for tuning into this week's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment. See you in the next one.